Yo, what the fuck, man? Big L. Taking over the streets. Flamboyant entertainment.
Welcome back to Parkour Coach Companion. Here we are once again paying our respects to the classics. Gotta pay your respects, you gotta pay your respects. Shouts to Greg Ennis for using this one. Big L, Platinum Plus. Oof. Video is called Shots Fired, came out at the end of 2014. Really big video at the time, London scene going crazy. And on that note, last episode we had London Baby by Ben Jenkins. And you heard the sounds of Ill Bill with The Anatomy of a School Shooting. So this is Parkour Coach Companion. Keep it locked, keep listening. We're asking questions, creating conversations, digging a little bit deeper. And today I'm joined by Barry He, a.k.a. Pkdegen. Notorious Instagram influencer. So yeah, enjoy this one. Keep it locked. And we are back. We're back.
Come on. Happy to be here.
Yeah, hey Barry, how you doing, man?
Very, very well. It's an absolute honour to be on the most poppin' parkour podcast on Spotify here these days.
Wow, what makes you think that?
More or less. I don't know. I feel like you've had a few good people on here, haven't you? You've had a few decent guys on. Can't really remember any of them, but I'm sure they're good. No, I know you had Marcus from Fifth Unit on. You had that yoga with Olive girl on as well. That's Callum's girl, isn't it? Yeah, I saw her do some mental little stick challenge the other day on Instagram, innit? So yeah, you've had some good people on as well. No, I rate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, well, I saw you kind of. I mentioned you briefly in the last one. Oh yeah, because you gave the question. You gave a question in.
Oh yeah.
About Devon's 360s, which is funny.
They're so good. They are so good. What the hell, man? Like, I'll be training with Devon, and like he'll just give me all these like crazy tips, and because I'm trying to learn 360s as well, right? And like he just takes it to a whole new level. So when you did that podcast with him, it was like a whole hour-long lecture on the beautiful art of 360s. It was so good, man. Like that guy's a real talent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I noticed I saw a couple of your videos. I noticed you've been practicing yourself and like struggling like to get that one kind of down towards like a low platform.
Oh yeah. That one was dirty, just because like these things never really come across how they actually are in videos. Like obviously I'm sure you know, and everyone else does that's listening. But basically it was kind of far, and also there's this massive gutter that sort of comes out. So you have to stick it, because if you don't stick it, then your face is just going to hit the metal bar basically. So it took me bare goes. Big up Roman though, he got it a lot quicker than I did. But yeah, we both smashed it that day.
Nice.
That was good.
So I guess where to start? I mean, we've met a couple of times when I've been in London. But I think maybe our best point of reference, and someone who actually told me to get you on the podcast, is our man Chris Grayston.
Yes, Chris Grayston. Big up Chris, man. Obviously I know you two had your little thing up in the north, innit, in Kiel. You're doing your pull-ups together, scaffolding, parkour. Yeah. He mentioned that to me as well. So yeah, big up Chris, man.
Because he said that he messaged me saying, "Oh, you gotta get Pkdegen on," because
big up Chris, man.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great guy. He said that because I did some coaching with him when he was at Kiel, and then he said that you got him back into parkour when he moved, right?
Yeah,
to London.
That is correct. I think he was just looking to switch up his life a little bit, and I think parkour was obviously such a great way to do it. And he was already into his calisthenics anyway, and I feel like with anything like calisthenics, like breakdancing, martial arts, gymnastics, it only takes a little switch in your mentality to switch that to parkour, and then it's instantly a much, much better lifestyle choice decision in my personal opinion, man. And I think one thing like me and Chris always talk about is how training is almost like a drug, because you get this rush of endorphins that comes with learning something new and stuff like that. And I think the way we've always described it is that like something like calisthenics gives you a sort of slow sort of build of a buzz, like over and over again, where you're just gradually working on something. And then parkour is just like crack, because you'll hit this huge jump that you've wanted to do for ages, and you're instantly, obviously after you've stuck it and landed it and not got hurt, you're just like, this is great. I can't believe like my life is this good. I've got the clips, I'm gonna post it. I can't believe I did it. What am I gonna do next? You know, it's so good, man. And I feel like everyone's got those moments, do you know what I mean? So yeah.
For sure. I mean, I guess it seems like you've been on the scene, particularly London, for a very long time now.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So tell us a bit about that. Like, would you say you've been at the heart of the London scene for a long time?
Yeah, more or less, man. So I feel like, obviously, like when you do martial arts and stuff, you can trace back a sort of lineage to different people. So I know you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? I think we briefly spoke about that at World Chase Tag, and I think one of the ways they do it is that you get your belt from obviously your instructor, who then gets their belt from their instructor, right? And you can trace it all the way back to the beginnings of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from the original Gracie family in Brazil,
That's
right?
so sick.
Do you know what I mean? And I feel like with parkour, it's like the same thing. Like there's definitely that one person that got you into parkour, and that person you owe a lot, basically, because you obviously, for obvious reasons. And so for me, I guess my so-called lineage, I guess, would be the urban free flow lot from South London. So mainly, I don't know if you know Kirby, John Kirby.
I know them all, man.
Yeah.
I'm a full nerd.
Yeah, 100%, man. So yeah, the original Jump Britain crew, man. So they were the guys, along with a few guys that they rolled with, basically, that I got in with. But yeah, man, yeah, they proper changed my life, because I was already into breakdancing a little bit, but like, you just can't find any breakdancers in the UK at the time anyway. And then by Sutton Library, I just saw all these guys, yeah, just doing wall runs and stuff like that, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I really, really want to be able to do this, man.
That's crazy. And you kind of, I mean, you must have seen, I guess, in person, some of the most historic movements within parkour in a way, because IMAX especially is kind of,
yeah,
you know, it's probably the most famous spot in the world, and you must have been there so many times and seen so many things. Like, it's crazy.
Mate, I'm gonna tell you, like, at what level you need to start applying to your pension, and that is when you were training at IMAX when the walls were orange. If you were training or remember IMAX when the walls are orange, you need to stop soon, man, because like your body is messed up. Like, oh god, yeah. I was really young though. I was like probably like 13 at the time. But yeah, man, yeah, a lot of the old school London heads that are around that obviously now like OGs, and you can see like where they've all got to. So yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, man, awesome. But what was interesting about Chris's message to me, which I didn't realize, and one of the things that sort of made me think like, yeah, I want to get him on, is that you do coaching yourself, and you've set up your own like coaching business. Is that right?
Yeah, man. So it's not just me. It's I do it with Greg Ennis from another guy from my team, Run LDN. Yeah. Greg is a really, really good teacher, man. He's a sick coach. He's really great with kids. He's really active. Like, if anyone remembers him from back in the day, obviously a bit of a wild child, you know what I mean? I feel like we all were, especially in the London scene. But as we've all grown up a little bit, I think that we've managed to channel that passion into showing kids why parkour is so good. And it's been going pretty well. I think the main thing which I like about it is that you're teaching kids how to do something which they'll normally be told off for doing in the first place. Yeah. So they've always got that natural sort of inclination to play and to mess around and to explore, and you're just teaching them how to do that safely and also to have more fun whilst you're doing it, really.
Man, Greg, I'm sorry, no disrespect to Greg if you're listening, man, but I'll be completely straight up. He is kind of a bit of a notorious name. Like, as in, from our perspective, like from the north, we've only seen certain things he's done and like heard stories about him and shit like that. And yeah, don't get me wrong, like
Good stories, man. All good stories. Good stories, man. He's a top guy. I can only ever vouch for him. Man, like, I feel like everyone, like, back in the day, do you know what I mean? Especially within free running, there's that definitely sort of culture where you love to mess around and have fun. I feel like that's definitely sort of the camaraderie which helps build strong bonds between people when you're training and when you're trying to push each other to do scary things. And like trying to throw cool shit basically. So yeah, I mean, like, I've seen like very similar videos from people up in Liverpool and Leeds doing crazy stuff. Yes. I know the Store a lot with their milk cartons back in 2011, man. Like those that milk wasn't just getting drunk, man. So do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. No, that's great, man. I mean, that's really interesting because I don't see really any clips from him anymore. So how did he switch on to coaching, and how did you guys like form that idea together?
We were both just training together basically all the time, and we were doing a bit of coaching under the Run LDN name anyway, just doing outdoor classes. And then we gradually found out that there were loads of kids that would be interested in doing it as well. So yeah, we just started teaching kids, and yeah, it's been really, really good fun. I'll tell you one funny story. Yeah, so
please, yeah.
Big up Harry Gallagher, man. Harry Gallagher, we call him Gallagher, innit? So basically, he really, really helped us out back in the day when we first started out coaching. Because when we did our outdoor jams and all the kids would come, he would then drop by, and obviously all these kids knew Nightscape. And so they were just like, oh my God, like Nightscape's here, this, that, and the other. And Harry would just like be helping out with the coaching, getting stuck in, showing his face, and giving out merch as well. And there was this one point in one of the classes where at the end of the class, we always do a warm down. And so our warm down normally consists of just doing a little wall sit as well. And like, obviously, anyone who knows who's done a wall sit, if you don't do wall sits within the first 30 seconds or 1 minute, it absolutely fucking kills your quads. You literally want to die, right? It's so hard to hold. And and they were all holding this wall sit, and then Harry just randomly just blurts out, all right, guys, so last person to stay standing and holds their wall sit for the longest gets a free Nightscape t-shirt. And everyone's like, oh my God. And there was this little 12-year-old boy, yeah, that literally held his wall sit for about 12 fucking minutes, yeah. And he's just there, his legs are vibrating. I thought like it was mad. And it was between him and his mate who was like 15 years old, and they were both just like looking at each other, just like, oh my God. And me and Greg were just like screaming at them, just going, hold that. And we were like filming it as well. Oh, it was so funny, man. The 12-year-old boy got it in the end, man. And then as soon as he got a t-shirt, he just slumped to the floor. I don't think he got up for a good while as well, you know.
Just quads, just done in for life.
Man. Yeah, shit. Yeah,
wow.
That was good.
Wow.
That was good though. But yeah, coaching's fun, man. Coaching's fun.
And do you see that? Is that like kind of? Is that part of your career? Is that a side thing? Is that just what? How does that fit into your life?
Bit of both, man. I feel so. My main gig at the moment is I'm a technology and science writer for a newspaper basically, and so wow. I write articles about like artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, microchips, like medical advances, stuff like that basically. But I've got a fair amount of free time basically where I can still go around and coach, and I don't know. I just feel like I can't not have parkour in my life whilst I'm doing other stuff, basically. Yeah. So yeah.
It's kind of my thinking as well. When I graduated uni, I came out with a degree, but I was kind of like, I was worried that, because I did environmental science, and I was worried that if I kind of really like sent a career in environmental science, like a 9 to 5, just my prospects in parkour and my attachment to it would be compromised. So I was just like, well, do you know what? I'm going to take a sketchier route, but something that's more, you know, dear to me. So I carried on with coaching, and fortunately I can say now that I'm coaching as my full-time thing, and I'm doing this podcast, and like, yeah, it's worked out okay for now. I mean, who knows what will happen? Like, we'll see.
Now,
I might be working in Greg's in like 6 months. You never know.
Oh man, don't say that, man. Don't say that, because I'm enjoying my life way too much at the moment. Where I'm writing several days a week, and then I'm coaching, and now I'm doing the Pkdegen thing as well. So don't say that, man, because I feel like that as well. And I feel like everyone who follows their passions, like there's always that trade-off, isn't there, where you're living the most unbelievably sick life and you're doing everything you want to be doing, but there's always just that nagging feeling that, oh, this could come crashing down at any moment, man, and you don't know why, you don't know how, but things happen, man. Things happen all the time, man. It's a very, very privileged thing what we all get to do, and we are definitely in the minority of people who get to do it. So yeah.
True. Do you follow Louise Alckmin's Swapping Shoes podcast? Have you heard of that?
I don't, you know. I've seen a few of their things.
Yeah. So they've been doing well. Louise, shout out to Louise, is doing really well. He's getting on some big guests and stuff. And it was interesting. Like he had on Kai Willis the other day.
Okay. And
it was a really interesting chat because I mean, you probably know Kai better than I do. I've only met him a couple of times.
Nah, same really. Like, okay. He's just one of those faces in the community. I feel like though, like when it's anyone in the community, you always feel like you know them a little bit better than you do. Like even though you've only met someone like a few times, like it's almost like they're like your cousin who like you don't really see that often, but like you've got a lot in common already. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. It's strange, man. But it was a pretty. I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty brutal podcast. Like Kai was very what's the word? He was very like forthright about his views on like the scene and about prospects for people within the scene and things like that. And it was a bit like he's one of my heroes, man. Like I was watching him back in the day when he had a channel called Kai is the One, which I think is not a thing anymore. And I saw him with like a beanie, glasses, and long hair, and he was like my hero. And I have so much respect for what he's done, but I'll be honest, I just felt this massive sense of bitterness that he never truly got out of parkour what he put in.
Well, that's what you get if all you're doing is putting up tutorials on how to do a fucking lache on Storm Freerun channels, man. Like, come on. That's legit. Like, I went on Storm Freerun's YouTube channel the other day, and like all I saw, obviously they've got sick content on at the moment. Ed Scott's going in as well. I've saw good videos of him and Phil Dorr recently in Bristol. But the number one video I see on their fucking channel is just a video of Kai from 8 years ago showing how to do a lache, and like I was just like, yeah. Well, how far are you gonna get with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, So yeah, it just made me feel super strange. It was like a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest. And I don't know if I were right to feel like that because I don't know him or anything. But at the same time, like, yeah, it was interesting.
Depends who you chat to, really, because I'm sure if you chat to the Stora guys, they'll tell you something very, very different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they've grinded, man.
Yeah, chat to the fat guys. They're so optimistic. Like they know they're sick, and they know they're gonna get so much sicker as they get older and hit their physical prime. That's the weirdest thing about those guys, man. Because you'll see them jump and do all that stuff, and like these are still teenagers. Like legally, they're still kids. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not they're not like us. Do you know what I mean? We're like approaching our physical prime now. Do you know what I mean? We're arguably in it. Maybe slightly past it. Who fucking knows? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But the fat lot, like they're like 15, 16, 17, and they're doing wham shit. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, another 10 years, like Jesus Christ.
That's it, isn't it? And it's just great. I think that, I've trained with Abdullah briefly, like once. Didn't talk to him much, but I've slowly started to kind of watch more of their content, get into their content, and just this sense of positivity from them. It's great, man. And the chat I had with Devon was great. Like such a as he said, like such an optimistic individual, and I just why you'd want to like squash that. I don't understand really. I don't get that.
Really? Was it that bad? Yeah. Was it that bad? I've always thought Kai was alright, man. I thought he was
well.
Do you know what I mean? I haven't seen much of his stuff.
Shouts to Kai, like he won't listen to this. maybe my point's proven. Maybe he'd never listen to this, but like, no. Shouts to Kai. He's genuinely one of my inspirations, and like,
same man, same.
I just maybe I can rephrase. I just feel a bit sad for him in a way. Like, as in he just sounds so bitter. Like he sounds as if someone, like I said, who's been at like the pinnacle and put so much in, and he was never really given the opportunities he deserved. I don't know, man. I don't know.
He's fine, man. He's fine. He's got his drones doing his FPV shots. Have you seen those? They're really cool, man. Do you know what I mean?
They're so good. Sorted. They're so good. Yeah.
And I think parkour does do that. It opens you up to so many other different things and avenues of revenue making basically from different skills that you do basically to try and market your parkour. So yeah, like I really enjoy his content regardless of whether he's doing parkour or not, to be fair.
This is it. Like this is what he was talking about and saying about going into different avenues, and he made some really good points. He was saying about, you know, like kind of that by being a bit more realistic about like having other options in your life and not completely, you know, falling to your knees at the altar of parkour and that sort of thing, which is good.
Fair play,
it's an interesting one. You should listen to it, man. It's good. It's an interesting one. But poor old Louise by the end, I felt for him because he's so passionate. Like Louise is you know, it's parkour is.
It's nothing. Parkour's dead to me. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel sorry.
But anyway,
I have to go back and listen to that now, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Big up Kai, man. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check
absolutely.
that out.
But tell us a bit more about. I guess we'll come back to coaching, but tell us a bit about this Parkour the Gen project. Like, how did it? where do we start with this? Because, I mean, I'll say maybe you and an old Lumpy are kind of spearheading the comedy in parkour at the moment. But maybe it's kind of satirical. What do you think of it? Like, why are you doing it?
Us, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's two. Like, I'm either seen as someone who's, you know, like fairly friendly and quite funny and up for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? With the rest of the community, or people will get the wrong end of the stick and just think that I'm out to maliciously cause as much emotional trauma as possible to people about their insecurities. And I think it's literally either one or the other. I'll either get one from someone going, oh, fair play, yeah, that was quite funny, yeah, that's kind of true or whatever. And then I'll get another one just going, oh my God, I bought my son one of your t-shirts and you took the piss out of my family home, and like, oh,
I saw this, what the hell? Why, what?
I literally, oh my God, when I made these t-shirts, I was thinking, what can I do to make this a little bit more personal that sort of fits with the brand of what I'm doing? Like, maybe I can take the piss out of people, you know, just like as a custom sort of thing, because in a way it's a nice thing because it shows that I've paid attention to your profile, I've looked at your stuff, you know. I'm obviously going to respect the fact that you're doing parkour full stop, do you know what I mean? But I'm just going to poke fun at some of the stereotypes that we have in our community so we can laugh at our insecurities together and build a sort of collective identity, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, that's what I was sort of going with. But yeah, so I was thinking, all right, cool, I'm going to make these cards. But please, for the love of God, if you don't want a roast card for whatever reason, which I'm perfectly happy with, let me know, because otherwise I will go in. Basically. And yeah, so she bought the roast card for a teenage son. This was some woman in Louisiana, I think.
Shit.
Yeah. And normally what I do is I search them on Instagram. If I can't find them on Instagram, I go on their Facebook. If I can't find them on Facebook, I then type their address, which I get from the order details for the packaging. I type their address into Google Street View so I can take the piss out of their house. All right, and it was just this dirty house here in the deep south of America with all these bins that weren't taken out and the windows were dirty. So I was just like, take your fucking bins out, you stupid, dirty, like this, that, and the other. Like, your windows are so dirty, they're dirtier than the inside of Jimmy the Giant's glasses, you mugs. Like, I don't know, man. It didn't like to be fair, like it was especially harsh, do you know what I mean? But that's what they get, man. Like, if they don't have any soft parkour which I can gently jibe at, then it's gonna be your family home.
Just one other, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
great,
But the funny thing is when I screenshotted that and put it on my thing, off the back of that, I got better orders just from that, just because people thought it was funny. So yeah, guess it works out.
Interesting. Yeah, like, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, I've got a few thoughts about this. I was listening to a Ricky Gervais, who's been not interviewed actually. It was just a conversation with Sam Harris. Have you heard of Sam Harris? Okay, interesting. Like, kind of, he's like a proper neuroscientist, intellectual guy, and he's having a chat with Ricky, and Ricky's like, you know, well, Ricky's famous for absolutely roasting people, but it's interesting how Ricky views this type of role, because it's a bit like the sort of court jester role, like in we kind of need jesters in life to sort of point the finger of truth at people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's interesting how you and like Lump Realm and stuff, that you kind of, parkour can get a little bit puritanical and get a little bit like up itself. So maybe you guys are the sort of the jesters and just reminding us about being a bit more.
It's not that deep, man. It's not that deep. Basically, yeah. And I feel like I don't really want anyone to think that I'm like deliberately trying to make people feel as shit as possible. Do you know what I mean? Because half the memes that I make, or half the things that I take the piss out, they relate to me as well. Do you know what I mean? Like do you know what I mean? There's loads of little like stereotypes and things in there which definitely apply to me as well. So yeah, it's just about having a laugh collectively, and I see it as collective community skin thickening process. That's what I like to call it.
I'm gonna use that as like the little the little clip. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, that's good, man. That's
Appreciate
good.
that, man.
Yeah, I think it's good to have humour, especially at the moment as well. It's easy to kind of, I don't know. It's nice to have a laugh, isn't it? It's nice to see kind of that you actually put a bit of effort into it as well. Like kind of, you do your like BBC News thing.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, that doing the actual journalism does help out with that as well, because it gets me into the mode of like writing things really quickly. I can write out stuff really, really quickly. I can just bang out a script just within 20 minutes. My brain just works in that way where I can just fire out ideas to the point where like, I'm sure it's the same for you as well. When you get loads of ideas that go on like in the middle of the night and they're just sort of racing around and like, they all sort of come. I feel like most people can relate to that. But for me, I have to make a specific effort to not do that and to make sure I do all my ideas earlier on in the evening, because if I start at night, they literally don't stop, and I'll be trying to fall asleep and I'll be like, wait, no, I've got to write that one down. No, that one's fine, and then I'll try and fall asleep again, but I'll just keep thinking of new ideas. I'll be like, I'll turn my phone on again and the light's really bright on my face and it's keeping me up all night. So I have to try and limit it to respectable hours of the day, because otherwise it just never ends, man. I could just stay up. Like I've got about 10 different sketch ideas relating to like different things in the community, man. My next topic is going to be about age in the free running community, which is going to be quite a fun one.
Ooh, nice. I like it. Have you heard of Josh Dohy?
No, educate me.
So Josh Dohy is an American practitioner. He's pretty good actually, but he's more famous. Forgive me, Josh, if you're listening. He's more famous for his commentating. So he does commentary at like the big competitions, like what's the big one? NAPC.
Yeah.
And he actually came to Rotherham, came to Nova City in Sheffield, and they flew him out.
Why the hell did he do that? Jesus.
He flew. I think they flew him out just to do the commentary for the skill and speed competitions that were happening in Nova City. But he actually has taken, I guess, maybe these skills and the confidence into stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah.
So he's gone. He's kind of one of the only kind of parkour guys that's gone into stand-up comedy. So it's interesting how you're talking about similar things. Sketches and writing and.
I have thought about it. I'd lie if it hasn't crossed my mind or something like that. I feel like the sort of comedy, if I was to do it, the sort of comedy I'd like to do wouldn't be a scripted sort of comedy where I'm just memorizing jokes and saying them to people and just sort of fine-tuning how I deliver them. I'd more want to do... I think what's really respectable about comedians is the level of pure social techers it takes to stand in front of a crowd when they're judged, when they're being heckled, and when the crowd are being absolutely brutal, for you then to basically brainwash them and make them like you in a way by making them laugh and being entertaining and showing off your wit and your skill, but just sort of on the fly, spontaneously. So yeah, I think the sort of thing I'd like to do is just sort of thinking on the spot, just chatting to audience, like dealing with hecklers, like, do you know what I mean? I think one thing I'd like to do is play like almost like obviously you know how Tinder works, where you're like all these dating apps where you're like swiping back and forth and stuff like that. I'd really like to chat to the crowd, find like a single person who's not in a relationship, stand them up and play human Tinder, where I go, all right, all the single guys stand up, and then, all right, what do you like? All right, you sit down. All right, you're a bit short. Yeah, you sit down. Grey hair. All right, you sit down, take a seat. What do you do for a living? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that could be quite jokes.
Man, that'd be funny, man. But yeah, I agree. Like, the thought to me of doing something stand-up it fills me with like fucking dread. Like
Yeah.
it takes so much guts, and also as you said, like on the fly wit and kind of tact and holding your ground and not like crumbling. But man, people must. I mean, I've seen a couple of shows and they've just fallen like
Brutal.
so hard, and it takes some guts to keep going and come back again. You know, like try again.
It's funny how like when you're on the receiving end of it and you're getting brutally socially humiliated, it's so weird how that, even though it's not a physical damage to your body or any sort of mortal threat to your survival, it still feels like I would much rather get punched in the face right now than have this happen to me, or I'd much rather, experience physical pain than this social humiliation. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's so interesting, man, because obviously back in the day, like, we're all social animals. So if you do get shunned by a crowd, we need each other to survive, you know? So that's basically you just as fucked as if you break your leg or get an infection. Do you know what I mean? So that you genuinely feel that level of, you know, even though you're never going to see these people again, just because we live in such a large society, I guess, but that primal reaction is still there, I feel.
For sure. And do you use any humour in your coaching?
Yeah, for sure, man. I feel like you have to be able to demonstrate what you do as well, and you have to be able to demonstrate safely how things can go wrong. So sometimes with Kongs, especially, or cat passes if you're a mug. Sorry, you say cat pass, don't you?
I'm 100% in that camp. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I used to be Kong. I used to be Kong, but like I thought cat pass sounded cooler. But,
all right, let me put it to you this way. Yeah.
Go on, tell me.
Would you say Verky was the first ever person to do a double cat pass gainer? Because that just sounds fucking ridiculous, man. It's Kong double gainer, man. Come on, like you can't just have your cake and eat it, man. The logic has to work both ways.
All right, good point.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's
fluid.
Just my. You're fluid. You're PK fluid. I was chatting to Jimmy the Giant about this, man, and I was saying, fuck all this shit, man. Let's have a referendum about what set of language that we need to use. Is it cat pass? Is it arm jump? Or is it Kong and cat leap? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Let's sort it out that way. But yeah, anyway, back to what you were saying about humour. I think humour is really important, especially when you're coaching parkour. One thing when I'm teaching adults especially is if you bail or if you prep something and it doesn't go your way, try and find it funny, because if you bounce off and just land on your bum or sort of whatever and you look a bit silly and you're on the floor or whatever, then find that funny, man, because that's what's going to motivate you to get up and try it again and again and again. Because if you take all the humour out of parkour, then what's left is actually something kind of scary. Like, you're just jumping at something again and again and again until you get it or you potentially get hurt. And you definitely need that sense of humour to sort of bind everything together and motivate yourself, I guess. I don't know what you think of that, but like, that's just sort of my personal theory.
That's nice, man. There's actually, I was looking back at a few, every episode I put in like a classic parkour video music segment at the start of the, so for example, at the start of this podcast, there'll be music that I've taken from a classic parkour video and put at the start.
Oh yeah. Have you used Be Complex Beautiful Lies yet? Remember that drum bass tune? There was that point where everyone was using it. That was crazy, man.
We'll see. It might make an appearance. But yeah, what was I watching? Yeah, I was watching one of Antoine Pk's old videos, and it was like Max Runham's anti-climax birthday or something. It's called something like that.
Okay.
And there's a really lovely clip of Max Runham doing this, like, it's at IMAX. He does like a running pre from like the high. What's hard to explain? He does a running pre basically.
Yeah.
And just completely decks it, but he just laughs his head off like as soon as he lands, and it's such a nice clip because like he purely, you know, he's in that mindset you've just said. You know, he's not scared. He understands something's gone wrong, but he just finds it hilarious. It's on his back. He's just, you know, he doesn't care.
Yeah, trust me, man. I saw another really funny clip of that guy doing a massive standing pre across Hayward Gallery. And I think it was at the New Year's Eve Jam. The guy grabs onto his fake arm because obviously he's got prosthetic arm in it. and just pulls it off, and he gets bounced off and just lands on the floor just with his good arm and his stomp just like writhing around, and like everyone, like it wasn't taking the piss out of his disability, he was in on the joke as well, and I thought that was great. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I just feel like that sort of humour is really important. I feel like you can see that in other industries where people deal with a lot of risk or anything where it's slightly morbid as well. Apparently doctors have a notoriously dark sense of humour as well, do you know what I mean? And soldiers as well. And I think they sort of need that to sort of get over the trauma that they're experiencing. Obviously, I'm not saying that, you know, training Kong Prees is the same as, you know, fighting in Afghanistan or whatever, but, you know, I feel like it is there's a point here, all right? I'm making a point, and I feel like it makes sense.
I can find it. I got it.
All right,
yeah,
cool,
man. It's funny. There's a guy, Jocko Willink, who is like an ex, like Navy SEAL, like the biggest guy you'll ever see. Literally looks like a gorilla, and he's hilarious, man. He's so funny. He's so funny, and he just cry. Maybe it's partly because he's just literally looks like a silverback gorilla, and he comes out with these things. It just cracks me up. But yeah, that's an interesting point. You know, the sort of doctors and stuff as well, and just sort of. But yeah, I think when we're training, we do kind of get into this like world. You get into this mindset world, and it's so different. It's like what I was saying in my last podcast with Devon. It's very different to when you're like walking around wearing like jeans and going to the shops. Like it's such a strange, for me anyway, like I feel like I'm in a different kind of headspace where risk is seen differently, pain is seen differently. It's all kind of funny. It's all kind of like part of this weird adventure kind of thing.
100%, man. It's not something that I ever really think about too much in terms of the risk aspect of parkour, because everyone's been injured. You're probably going to get injured in the future. You're probably going to slip up at some point. Parkour, it can be very, very safe, but if you want to take it to a certain level, especially nowadays, you can't be that risk averse, you know. And it's I always find it quite funny that we can sort of like blank that out of our minds in a way that I'm going training today. It's going to be great. It's going to be really fun. I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to hit some gaps. You never think, oh my God, like what if I get hurt? Like, I mean, I got a raw ankle thing literally just yesterday, and if I knew that was going to happen, like I don't really know what that headspace is like when you wake up knowing that you're going to go out training, knowing that something might happen to your body that will be painful. Do you know what I mean? Like, I slightly feel like, oh, this is another extreme analogy, but like, hear me out, yeah. So women who give childbirth, yeah. That is always an extreme. No, there is a point here. There is a point here, Sam. Women who give childbirth, yeah, it's always such a painful experience for them, right? And they're going through agony for hours, right? But after that, there's something that happens to them that sort of brainwashes them into thinking, oh, do you know what? That wasn't that bad. Like, I could have another child. You know what I mean? The love for my current child is so great. I want to have more of that love in my life, sort of thing. And I feel like it's the same with parkour. If you get an injury, you sort of just get over it. And you're just like, oh, do you know what? Like, this is so much worth the physical pain that I'm going through right now. Do you know what I mean? It's not even comparable. I feel like most people don't even consider it as a trade-off at all. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny. It's strange how we kind of reframe that in our minds. Like I was saying to someone the other day, sometimes I'll finish a session and I'll like see scratches on my arms or whatever, or like my knuckles are bleeding or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like it's strange how if that happened in a different context, you'd be like, oh shit, I've just cut myself. Oh shit. Yeah. But then like when you're doing parkour, if you graze yourself, if you scratch yourself, I just don't really feel it as much. Like, not that I don't feel it, I don't maybe remember it in the same way because I'm so involved in this 100%. Different. It's strange, isn't it? It's really, really odd. But I think it's a good way of like parkour may be a good example of how we can reframe how to kind of approach challenge and like how to deal with pain and stuff like that.
I feel like part of it comes from the unpredictableness of it as well. The fact that you don't know when it's going to happen. Often, a lot of the times, It happens, you know, when you absolutely least expect it. So for example, I know we were chatting about Greg earlier, and you've seen some of the most ridiculous, crazy, world-class dive kongs that he's done, right? And then I just remember this one time we were at Southbank Festival Pier, and like he's just arrived at the spot yet, and he's just walking down the stairs, just going, "Oh, you're right, guys. Yeah, what you saying? Yeah, bless you, man. Yeah, what's good?" And like right on the last step, he just rolls his ankle and just breaks it on the last step. Just getting to the spot, walking down the stairs. Do you know what I mean? Like it always happens when you least expect it, man. Like it's crazy, man. But yeah.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, same for me. My worst injuries have involved curbs. Like just it's just strange, but I guess that must come out of the attention and because you're not really focusing, are you? You're not really like concentrating when you anyway we'll move on. You're called Pkdegen, right?
Yeah.
So let's open up this one. What's your opinion on Pkdegen?
Yeah. So
here's your space. Be as honest as you
want. No. Honestly, like a lot of the guys that I train with that do belong to Pkdegen, I've got a lot of time for, man. Like guys like Alex Pownell, who I know, like he works at the chain store. Do you know what I mean? Like he's helped me out with a lot of training and stuff like that. I honestly really, really get along with those guys. I think for me, it's more the monopoly that they have on the parkour coaching system in terms of the adapt qualifications and stuff like that. And I know I don't want to go into all the political side of things too much, but yeah, like I think that whole side of things where they're not as a corporation, as a company, and this has nothing to do with the individual coaches at all, which I do have a good relationship with, as at a managerial level, I feel like they are a little bit out of touch with the community. I remember Breach had one jam in Chain Store once a few years ago, right? And at the end of the jam, the manager, it wasn't Alex, it was just some random dude that I didn't know, came down at the end, and like he was almost acting like really annoyed with everyone. He was like, "All right, session's over, everyone get out, put that back, you put that back." I'm just like, you're completely going around this the wrong way. If that was me, like I'd be like, "Thank you so much for coming and supporting our space, you know, I know, like we're part of the community as well, we're here for you guys, do you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna do what we're doing now, which is charging you £20 to come into a shed to play on some scaffolding for an hour." Do you know what I mean? I just think that's just so unrealistic for what their target market should be, which is real freerunners who are going to be in their late teens to mid 20s. Do you know what I mean? And right now, I think it's peak for them because all they've got to rely on, especially in that chain store gym, is CrossFit people who are coming in and just using the bars just to like roll around on and just do their squirmy little muscle ups. So yeah, like I think the way they've gone around in terms of business plan and their managerial aspect, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's just me.
It seems like a bit of a tricky one. I mean, my opinions are mainly formed from an outside perspective. Like, I can only say so much from living up here and not being down there and knowing everyone. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just always seemed fairly obvious to me that there has been this split in the London scene, with people like Pkdegen and then like the street kids and street rats that are just going around. And I was actually going to ask you on that point, my general feeling is that coaching is not seen as something like cool to do. Like it's not really seen as something like, it's not the same as going out and having a good time, going, you know, training with your friends and whatever. Do you feel that maybe a flaw of Pkdegen is that it might have created a bit of a hesitancy for anyone that would like to get into coaching to then not do it in the London scene, you know? I think
that hopefully that yeah, no, I get your point. I feel like hopefully that stereotype is changing as you get more and more guys that are into it for reasons that are more passionately unique to them. So obviously, like where we've been about parkour since day one, like we've been London parkour since day one as well, and we've got into teaching and we've started bringing across our own culture to the kids and trying to push across that passion. And I know the fat guys are doing the same thing as well, and I just feel like if I was Pkdegen, and he said Pkdegen is the muscle memory, if I was Pkdegen back in the day, say like 2010, 2011, what I would have done is created a sponsorship team where I get this top exciting talent from the community and show prospective customers that they can reach this level and they can do all these crazy things and you know, be inspired by these guys throwing interesting movements. But the fact that they didn't do that and they tried to sort of separate it almost a bit too much, I think that there is definitely a point where you've made something which is very much an art form something too proper in a way. Obviously it does need some sort of regulation, but yeah, just relax, man.
Interesting. Yeah, because I feel even when I was like starting up this podcast, I knew straight away that okay, well, I want to make something to do with coaching because that is my job. That's what I want to further myself in, and that's what I want to help other people with. Yeah. But I knew that I know for sure. Like if people read the words parkour coach, they're gonna be like, I don't want to listen to that because I'm not into coaching. It's boring, sort of thing. But I find that such a shame because so many people are having these conversations like, oh, there's no scene, there's no one getting involved, oh, there's no money in parkour. It's like, well, hang on, there's such a massive opportunity with coaching because that does two things. It helps get more money into parkour and it helps get more people into the community. Like that, surely that's
100%.
Surely that's what we need. Like, it's my plea. This is my plea, man. But I don't know.
Sustainable community sustainability is what we need, and I think that definitely is an important part of it for sure.
We could do with some sustainability, yeah. And talking about what you mentioned before about this sort of referendum idea, it's actually pretty funny because I think this is the community's problem, is partly this kind of indecision, because even like I think you sort of roasted the word traceur.
Yeah.
Like even these things, it's kind of no wonder that the public aren't really sure about terms and what to do and what even is this thing. If we can't decide what they are, can you relate to that?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of sports have that problem though, especially when they're starting out. So for example, like breakdancing, there was this huge civil war in the community about what term it should be called. Because breakdancing is a term coined obviously by the media. It's nothing to do, like it originally was called b-boying, do you know what I mean? And now it's in the Olympics now as breaking. They try to find that medium, do you know what I mean? So I think it definitely is just part of the growing pains of an underground sport that will just sort themselves out through time, because parkour has just been such a young sport, you know. We've only been doing it for maximum, I think, what's the longest anyone has ever trained for in the UK, do you reckon? Who's trained for the longest?
I mean, I doubt that many people training before. Actually, no, that's wrong. I think a couple of weirdos were training before Jump London and Jump Britain. Perhaps
those guys must have looked fucking weird, man. Just like doing their cat calls and stuff. Jesus.
If you're listening and you trained before Jump Britain and Jump London, like
we're arranging your funeral very soon.
I'll get your doctor's appointment. Go for the prosthetics.
Sort your wills. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, okay, so it must be like between 15 and 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
I reckon. Which is not a lot. It's not a lot at all, is it? Really?
It's not a lot at all. I reckon Jump London and Jump Britain. I feel like, if anyone was training before then, I'd like to see some proof, and I'd like to see if what you were doing was actually parkour or if you were just being really weird. Like,
yeah. Interesting,
that's cool, man.
But I mean, yeah, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe I need to, like, Louise does make the good point that it's so young. We need to relax. Like, we'll figure these things out, sort of thing.
Do you know what I really like about parkour though? And it does sort of tie back to the humour aspect of it as well, but also the culture and the language aspect. Yeah. How like we've got so many different words for how someone can get really, really hurt, depending on what their different type of body is. So like I was reading the other day that, for example, in different actual genuine languages, so like in Arabic, they've got loads of different they've got loads of different descriptive nouns for different types of sand dunes. Whilst in English we've only just got one, which is just sand dunes. You know what I mean? Because every sand dune just looks the same for us. But over there in the Middle East, you've got different types. You've got ones you can build on, ones you can't, ones which are fast moving, and ones which are sort of more stationary. Do you know what I mean? And they're all really, really important to be able to function in that environment, to be able to use those sort of words. And with parkour as well, you've got shinjiri, you've got ankle thing, you can get credit carded, you can get scorpioned. There's just so many words on how to describe someone getting fucking bodied, and I love it, man. And I feel like that says a lot about our culture specifically as well, compared to other, you know, like real other languages out there. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought that was cool. Just reminded me of it. For
sure. I do love the language. It's just brilliant. Like, because I find it funny how, yeah, we are almost speaking a different language, like to express these things and describe these things, and you know, we do have splits, Kong, cat pass, arm jump, cat leap, whatever. Like it's interesting, and it will continue. I guess it will continue to mutate. Things will change, and people will come up with new things, and it's how it is, I guess. How it is.
100%, man.
Yeah. But let's go a little bit more back into the coaching side. So.
Cool, man.
How do you just do these sessions outside? Do you pick certain places? Do you have a certain, you know?
Do a little bit of outdoor sessions and some indoor sessions as well at the schools. A lot of the schools that we work at, we're quite lucky with them in the fact that they've got quite a lot of good gymnastics equipment. So I found that a lot of the time it's actually the girls which I prefer to teach, because their girls are genuinely, as children, better at parkour than boys. That's one thing I've personally found, just because number one, like, they fucking listen more. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be messing around, running and jumping. They're not going to assume that they can already do parkour because they've seen Spider-Man. They'll just jump off something willy-nilly. Sure. They'll actually listen and they'll pay attention to the technique, and a lot of them have done gymnastics or ballet or something like that before, and so they've genuinely got very, very good foot placement in general, I found personally anyway. But obviously, I think that's one thing that's good about coaching as well, because you can solve another big problem in parkour, which is that there aren't really that many girls doing it either. And I feel like if you get them at a level where they're not as conditioned by social stereotypes of what's acceptable to do for a girl or a guy, and what's not, then you are further down the line going to get a lot more female talent as well.
Man, there's so much potential. I actually hadn't. That's a good point actually about you know, maybe a sort of social norm working in parkour's favour, in that girls tend to get into gymnastics and dance because they naturally, sorry, not naturally, but through that they might have a greater sense of touch, a greater sense of control, and maybe even discipline, because apart from martial arts, boys tend to play football and kind of, I mean, I'm being very narrow-minded here, but I'm just thinking like gymnastics and dance do have a lot of discipline, and maybe there's so much potential. Maybe there's a lot of potential there for girls to then use that and really flourish in parkour. Yeah, I've seen some good stuff, and it's just like, it's always like trying to keep them in the class, man. It's just trying to, because it's hard. It's hard. But I think the conversations about this as well, it's come up a few times in this podcast, and it seems to be growing now. I think it's in terms of the political realm of parkour, I think it's definitely one of the most talked about things, and I think as it should be, to be honest. I think there's some really good conversations happening, and there's shifts happening that maybe it would have been nice if it happened 5 or 10 years ago, but it's good that they're happening now, you know. So
100%, man. You got some crazy talent coming out now as well. So hopefully they keep churning it out, and 10 years down the line we'll see a much more equal split and representation of just what people are capable of in parkour, I guess.
Have you seen Elise Bickley?
Oh, she's so sick. Honestly, so good, man. I feel like there was definitely a period of when women were doing parkour maybe 10 years ago where you'd see it and a lot of them were just coming straight from gymnastics, and I feel like a lot of them were getting away with just doing the same gymnastic skills that they picked up their whole lives and trying to badly translate that into parkour and doing lines and stuff where they would just run and do do a little vault and then go into some tumbling. And I feel like now the female talent is just so incredible, where they're really staying true to what parkour is, and you'll see them doing crazy running prees, you'll see them doing mad castaways, pin flips. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it does take a while for people who haven't necessarily maybe thought it was for them for one reason or another to get into it. And I'm so genuinely happy now that when I'm scrolling through my feed now, I'm seeing a lot of women just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. And again, have you, because Elise's main sort of training ground is Nova. Have you been to Nova City before?
No, I was meant to, in January 2020, but I dislocated my shoulder for the love of movement in basically a week beforehand. So yeah, I couldn't make the trip up.
Oh shit!
So, yeah, that was annoying. I do want to go up there though. It does look sick there.
Yeah, it's great. It's Rotherham's little gem in my mind. Like I can't. Apologies to Rotherham residents, but I can't say it's the most inviting place. But that little facility is just wicked, man. It's so good. And not only, I stopped myself going too far here, but as in, like, I could talk a lot about this. Not only is the parkour setup awesome, but they have an amazing body of dancers there.
Yeah,
who are absolutely just so sick, man. Like, so good. And every time you go and train there, you always see them like doing the little routines and stuff, like just young kids. And it's great. It's so great because, yeah, as I said, like Rotherham, I don't know, it's not the most inviting place.
So my theory is, the shitter the area is, the better the free runner is. So if you go to like all the places where there's sick free runners in the world, shitholes, absolute shitholes. All right, Basingstoke, prime example. Like, when would you ever need to go to Basingstoke if it wasn't for that mad gym that they've got, the Active Life Centre? Big up those guys, man. So sick. As you said, Rotherham, like, you don't, like, need I say more, man? And I bet it's the same in other countries. I guarantee you, like, if you're listening to this and you're internationally from another country and you're really, really good at parkour, I bet your town's shit. Simple as that.
That's great. I like that hypothesis.
No, 100%.
But yeah, I think, and again, I'm gonna bring up something I mentioned maybe on the earlier podcasts, which is maybe my roast for the southern scene. Like, why the fuck aren't you coming up here? Why do we always have to come down? No one comes up here. Tell me why.
You know what? I'm actually long overdue a trip up to the Wirral. I was meant to do that for ages. Yeah. No, genuinely. Yeah, just for one reason or other. I'm not joking. I'm genuinely not joking. You're creasing at this, but I'm not joking. I've always wanted to go to the Airborne Academy. I've wanted to go to that little youth centre in Morton where those original Danny Ilabaca videos were. Like, I've wanted to go see that wall where he did the first ever like con gainer. Do you know what I mean? Not cat pass gainer. Yeah. I've always wanted to go to that area. Leeds as well. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, that is a weird one.
Be honest.
Like more of us should go up. Yeah, you're right. More of us should go up.
It's a conversation, man. Because, like, you know, I'm kind of joking really, because, you know, I absolutely love coming down. Like, it's great. Yeah. Like, any time I've been in London or whatever, I've had an awesome time. There's some amazing like inspirations, but at the same time, you know, I do try and dissect in my head, like, why is no one coming up here? Is it that we've not got the talent? Is it because we've not got the spots? Is it because we don't put out enough content? Like, these things go through my head, and I'm not trying to be like harsh on you know, on my own scene, but it is interesting, like, to figure it out, because I'd love nothing more than, like, you know, Team Fat destroy Leeds, or like Motus, you know, Shelling and Grimsby or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd be great. It'd be so sick. But I just, apart from the costs and stuff, I don't really understand. And
do you guys have much? I don't really see much content really coming from up there that's regular that I'd like to see. Do you know what I mean?
So do you think this is it?
Yeah, I would like to see some content so I can sort of get a feel for the scene and just know what your good spots are like, know some of the characters and the talent that's up there. So then that'll gas me to go up and go there. But at the moment, if I think of the North, especially now David Nelms has moved down. He was one of the big guys that I knew from up in Leeds, right? He's now living with Nightscape down in East London.
Right.
But yeah, those sort of videos.
Interesting.
Things that I'd like to see a lot more of, I guess. Just getting a feel and getting an identity up there. So it's almost like parkour tourism, isn't it? Like you want to go to the certain spots, you want to meet certain people, and if you don't see the adverts for that, why are you going to want to go there? Do you know what I mean? So just make more adverts.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm definitely being a hypocrite here because I definitely have that like perfectionism trait that means that I won't put something out unless it's good enough. Yeah. And that just means that I release like I'm from York, and we've had this channel, the York Gentlemen, like our little team for like years and years, and we've got some good videos. Like I'm pretty proud of them, but at the same time there's like 10 over like 5 years, so it's probably not great. So yeah, I feel you. I think that's definitely a good point. Quick shout to Team Reality, actually. Team Reality from like Grimsby and Sheffield, that sort of way.
Oh, big up, man.
They put out content pretty much weekly, and they're doing good stuff. They're doing good stuff, and it's nice to.
What was one of the guys' names from Grimsby? Is it like Jake Harris or something?
Yeah, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Harris. Yeah, I remember seeing him in the old school US sponsored athletes.
Yes.
Back in the day, and he added me on Instagram literally the other week, and I just went through his page. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I remember this guy, yeah, because that was at the time where I was a teenager at the time, and all I wanted was to be a sponsored athlete by Urban Free Flow. Do you know what I mean?
Me too.
Yeah, it's funny that because like when you're a kid, you just have these such amazing dreams, like these incessant dreams of wanting to be part of the in team at the time. So I put up I don't know if you remember Worldwide Jam from back in the day. They were like the UF competitors down south at the time. So that had Worldwide Jam. Yeah.
No, I can't remember that actually.
If you give them a Google, their web page is still up there. And so I just put a picture of their original team from 2007, and it was a really, really budget team, and none of them were especially good by today's standards, I guess. But I put the photo up on Pkdegen story and asked the question, all right, who here is this old? And then Toby Seagar comments and like just replies back to me just going, oh my God, when I was young, like literally all I wanted to do was be in this team. Literally, like it was the thing that I wanted to do the most. And I just had to, I found that so funny. I had to just reply back to him just saying, oh, I'm sure you can one day, mate. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, yeah. Like I just find stuff like that funny, how you really big these people up when you're young.
For sure. Now he's Bobby Swaglord, whatever his name is, man.
Nah, he's still trying to make it into Worldwide Jam. They're still reviewing his application.
I heard on the grapevine.
Yeah.
Swaggy's trying to get man. Shouts to Toby's so good, man.
Yeah.
Toby is really, really good. Really good. It's crazy. It's crazy. I
always get the impression that like I don't know any of the story a lot super, super well. I chat to like Callum Powell occasionally. Yeah. But I always, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows them better than I do, which will be most of the people listening here, but I always get the impression for some reason that Toby is like, out of all of them, the kindest guy out of them. I don't know why. Okay. I just get the impression that he's just a nice guy. Do you know, I've chatted to him a few times. I just feel like some people just have that demeanour where they just, oh yeah, he's all right. Do you know what I mean? Whilst I'm not saying the others are cunts, obviously bless, but I just feel like Toby like is especially a very respectable young man.
I think he is. I feel he's a bit of a living legend, Toby. I mean, like I literally I grew up on watching him and others train in Cambridge and stuff, their videos, and it's exactly what you said like near the start of the podcast about. Like, I feel like I know them, but they have no idea who I am,
shout out, all right, Stora, any of you lot listening, this man is called Sam Kopak, and he is running the most professional, best parkour podcast that you should be listening to right now, man. Big up, Sam.
Cheers, man. That's
yeah, no, of course, man. Anytime, mate. Anytime.
That means a lot. Means a lot. I have met Toby briefly. I shook his hand at Chase Tag. That was what it was. Big moment. No, but it's cool because you just, at the end of the day, you just see they're just people, don't you? It's really funny. It's in our minds, like these people that have done these incredible things, like Danny, for example. You know.
I've got a good story about Danny actually. So me and Contrix back in the day, I think we were chatting about Contrix recently. Shout
out to Contrix.
Big up Contrix.
Where is he now?
He's,
or maybe
that's last I heard, because obviously he was a world champion beatboxer as well. So last I heard, he was on ferry cruises doing beatboxing. And I don't really know how that works, because the people that go on ferry cruises are normally on death's doorstep. So like, why would they then enjoy someone going? Do you know what I mean? But apparently it works, and he's making peas off it. So yeah, good on him.
Oh, fair play, man.
Yeah, so me and Contrix were just at the Hayward Gallery, and we were watching Danny do this disgusting death drop pre down to the yellow staircase. Like, if anyone who's familiar with that spot will know it. And we were just kids at the time, and every time he did it, we'd go, oh my days, oh my god, every time he did it. And he landed it, stuck it, and looked back up at us and just went, and just told us off basically, and was like, stop making a big deal out of it, man. Like, you're putting me at risk by doing that. You need to make it seem like it's just a normal thing, because if you build it up into something that's massive in your head, then it's going to put yourself at risk. And then me and Contrix were just like, oh, and Contrix was just like, mate, that was you making that sound, man. And I was like, no, that was you, man. No, that was your fault.
Damn.
Yeah, big up Contrix, man.
That's crazy. Big up Danny, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll meet him one day. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I've trained with him, I think, a few times. I've gone climbing with him once. I know his brother, really? Chris Ilabaca, a lot better. Yeah. Right, yeah. I've got a lot of time for Chris, man, when he's coming down. And when I tell you, when you see Chris Ilabaca do an aerial in real life, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like seeing a humpback whale just like dive into the air and then like smoothly land back into the ocean. Like, it's crazy, man. His aerial is so athletic for how much of a tank he is. It's crazy.
See, I'm still waiting. When's this Breach Tour video coming out? That kind of got delayed. What happened there?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. You'll have to ask Chris.
I wonder what's that, because that was like over a year ago now, definitely.
Yeah. The Breach Tour with the T-shirt and it had the picture of the UK in the back. Yeah. Is that not out? I don't know. Yeah, you'll have to ask someone. But yeah, no, big up Breach, man, as well.
For sure. It's great that there's these bodies of. You do need things, don't you? You need brands. You need institutions just to kind of keep like the glue, you know.
Yeah, for
together.
Sure. I think Chris is really, really doing this thing, and I think he's put, because I heard he works full time as well. So this Breach is just a side thing for him. He's putting in a lot of effort into building up a community. Like, every time he's come to a jam, he's been really, really generous as well. I think the first time I met him at a Breach jam, the same one as the chain store thing, that was the chain store incident that I was talking to you about earlier. He literally just met me for the first time. He was like, oh, Barry, come here, and he just gave me a t-shirt, some trackies, Breach, everything. Like, it was really, really nice. Like, you could tell he really cared about the community. And like, yeah, I can't remember what he does for his day job. Someone told me that he sells AstroTurf or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, whatever it is, it's not parkour. Maybe it is more full-time now. I guess I'll have to ask him. He's such an approachable guy. I'm sure I can.
For real, man. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I've kind of gone through my main kind of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you kind of had else you want to talk about in terms of coaching, or? I prepared a roast for you if you are curious enough to indulge. I was gonna end it with the roast. Yeah, well, let's end it with the roast. I can just take it and and see how well I sleep tonight.
I'm especially proud of this one. This was one of the ones. This was one of the creative moments which I had last night. And, you know, I was talking to you about trying to sleep. Yeah. I was like falling asleep. I was like, nah, this is good. Yeah, I've got to write this. And then I fall back asleep, and I was like, oh no, I thought of another thing to say about it. And then I fall back asleep again. So yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Right, go on. We'll do that, and then you can get the fuck off.
All right, cool. Perfect. All right. So yeah. So basically, I heard World Chase Tag. They're basically planning a huge event after COVID. They're really going to upscale it, and the entire course will now actually take place on your enormous forehead. Your forehead is so large that you can only take successful selfies with a drone. Your forehead is so heavy, it weighs the same as the entire combined weight of the Motus Pro team. Including Giles. Big up Giles, man. It's his birthday today, isn't it?
Shout out
Happy
to
birthday,
Giles.
Yeah, shout out Giles. Your forehead... Alright, this one's fire. Your forehead is so big, it gets home from training before you do. Oh, nice. I'm so sorry about it. Mate, like, literally, when I do these roasts, yeah, the first thing I normally go for is just like literally the first thing I see or whatever, the first thing about someone's appearance or their training. But when I was scrolling through your profile, the other thing which I was going to mention is that 40-year-old white bald man, which is always training with you for some reason. I thought that was a bit suspect, and like if you are teaching kids with him, I hope he's got an enhanced DBS check. So that's just one thing I'd like to make you aware of. You don't want this to be turned into the Parkour Pedo companion podcast. So,
fuck's sake.
Just look into that if you still can.
Well, okay. Disclaimer for those that are listening and confused. I teach this man. I teach him. He's my client. So fuck you, Baz.
He's got techers, man. What is he? He's like 38 years old, and like he's got decent flow, hasn't he? He's doing well. He is doing well.
Man. He's
Mate, you knew this was a risk having me on, innit? So
yeah, no, I love it. That's what I need. No, David's 30. I think he's 37, 38 now. So
Christ. No, I'm joking, man. Like,
Mate,
we'll all be there someday. Yeah.
I'll state my case on the forehead business. I think there is a good chance I'm on the recede. Which is a shame, but at least it didn't hit me at like 20 though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people, that does happen, man. It does happen.
So we'll see about that. But also I blame my genetics. Like I have Asian heritage, so I reckon I got these pictures of like my great grandparents and stuff, and they've got like beastly foreheads.
Oh really? Okay. What kind of Asian are you? I didn't know you were part Asian.
Yeah, so my grandfather was born and raised in Hong Kong.
Ah, interesting.
And he migrated here when he was 19 and lived in Manchester.
Yeah.
And then married a white lady, my grandma. Shout out to my grandma. just from England. So.
Nice, man.
So yeah, I got a bit of a mixture going on there, but yeah, I blame him.
Well, you can take solace from the fact that for someone of part Asian heritage, you've got a very strong beard going on. So
thank you, man. It's coming off at the end of February.
Is it?
It was just a winter experiment.
Yeah.
So no, I appreciate.
Fair enough, man.
I appreciate that.
Just before I go, whilst we're on the topic of Asians, obviously this is a community of people who come from a diverse range of backgrounds. And I just want to quickly say to anyone who is obviously listening to this podcast to just be aware of the increasing rate of Asian hate crimes which are going on at the moment due to COVID and a lot of ignorance, especially in the US, but also the UK. It is definitely on the rise at the moment. So if you are training with people or know anyone, even who doesn't train, who is of that heritage, just make sure they're all right, because it is definitely an issue which needs more attention, especially in the mainstream media. So yeah, man, like just end it on a positive one of everyone sticking together, man, using parkour as a positive tool to improve our lives collectively and thicken our skins, I guess, and not be bitches.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for that. I saw you mentioned that a bit on your story, and I think it's so valid. Man. So valid. Like, fuck that. What? I'm not even going to get into it, man. I'm going to get too angry.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, man, like,
yeah,
just a little care package to anyone out there, innit?
Absolutely. We've got a parkour is the place, man. It's so inclusive. So many
100, man.
so much opportunity, man. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
For sure.
So yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. But
yeah, man, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
That was good. That flew by, man.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that really flew by. That was nice. That was nice.
Really, 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 really quick, man. Yeah, this is the first time, like, obviously I've done something like this. So yeah, it's good, man. You're really good at this sort of stuff as well.
Thank you. I'd say I'm improving slowly. Yeah. I'm kind of. It ticks a lot of boxes for me, which I didn't realize.
Okay.
At the start. Like I didn't have any plans to do this, and now it's like I'm putting a lot of time and effort into it. So
nice. You getting a decent growing viewership for this now? You find like you're growing an audience a little bit now.
Spotify. I mean, yeah. Shouts to all the Spotify listeners. This is it's the sort of the graph is like this, which is nice. So we're getting there. It's nice, and I'm happy, man. Like, one of the best things about the Spotify analytics is that you get to see what countries it's being played in.
Okay.
And I was amazed to see like this 20 country list of like people that have been listening to this. So I'm hyped, man. That's great. Even if it's like one view from like one listen from like UAE or whatever, like it's still sick. Like, they're just there listening. It's great, man. So
does it tell you how long they listen for?
Okay, so so it says, it gives you two different analytics. It gives you how many starts and how many streams. Okay. So I think a start represents just anything over 1 second of playtime. Yeah. And I think a stream represents anything over 60 seconds, I believe. So again, like, it doesn't mean like someone's listened to the full thing, but just, they've at least listened to a minute of it. But yeah, it gives you stuff about that, and kind of the split in demographic, like age demographic, gender demographic, excuse me, that sort of thing. Yeah. And it's great, like, super interesting. And shouts to YouTube watchers as well. If you subscribe, that's great. Because I think it's nice to see people animate as well as talking. So, but yeah, if you enjoyed this one, guys, then you can follow on Spotify. I'm trying to do 4 every month, and this will be the 4th of February. So I'm very
big up, man.
I'm grinding. I'm trying.
absolute honor to be invited on, man, and I look forward to listening to the rest of them. I'm gonna start from the start, and I'm gonna catch up with your podcasts, and I'm gonna let you know what I think, man. Because I listened to the Devon one; it was fantastic, man. So yeah, big up, man. Doing a good job.
Appreciate it.
Nice one, G.
And always, if I'm always up for feedback and roasts. So send them my way. It's fine.
100%, man. All right, nice one, bro.
Nice one. Thanks for listening, guys.